welcome to Live Well Podcast. This is our third episode, and have with us this afternoon James Bryant. And so a good friend. I'm really excited about this conversation. James runs an organization called Lead Different, works with people, organizations, really helping them, I guess, change and improve the results they're getting in their life or in their organization.
Essentially, live well.
Help them live well. Help them live well. Help them lead well. And so I am excited for this because I always value getting to hear the ways you're thinking about things. One of the things that James is big on, you see, is just kind of how all of us can be on a journey just to increase our performance in life, in leadership, whether it's an organization, whether it's in your family, whether it's just your own kind of personal leadership. And I think this is a great moment with the kind of disruption and kind of the crisis our whole world's facing. This is a great moment to really explore, how can we make changes in our life? How can we, look a little differently at how we're performing in life, how we're showing up into the different unique scenarios, especially we're going to be faced with. So, James, I'm looking forward to just having a nice conversation today on
So
this.
am I. I mean, you're on my list of people. I have a list of people where they ask me to do anything, and before I know the details, I just say yes. And you and everything that you're involved in, everything you do here, you're on my yes list. So that's why I'm here.
Thanks, man. That's a great list to be on. I'm excited to be on that list. There's so many people, organizations that you work with, and I feel like you always are kind of, surveying the landscape and terrain of what's happening and how people are responding to things. So we're in an incredibly disruptive moment to life right now, locally here in Perth and in WA. Globally, this is happening. Challenges everywhere and on multiple fronts that people may or may not be facing to different degrees. What are you observing? What are you seeing as you look around the people you're working with? What are you seeing about how people are responding to the current situation?
So when this first became real for us in Australia, it's been real for different people around the world for different amounts of time. When it became real for us in Australia, in a 24-hour period, I lost 100% of the contracts that I had in place for the next 12 months. Stuff that's booked for October is no longer booked. It was an extraordinary 24-hour period.
Say the least.
And it wasn't even 24 hours. I think it was probably within 6 hours. It was one work day. And halfway through or somewhere along that day, I called on my phone to talk to my wife. And I just was like, hey, so I don't even know how to say it because it was really early on in the piece, because a lot of the organizations that I work with are quite big and multinational, and they were the ones who realized this first in Australia.
Straight away,
And so, and we, for each other, as a way to communicate with each other, one of the big things we have is we have a mantra, stuff that we tell each other to keep ourselves focused. And in that moment, she said to me, hey, we're undefeated so far. Just as a way to focus on, hey, this isn't the end. We can keep going. What can we work on here? And we did that for a week or two. We were just telling each other, hey, we're undefeated so far. And then one of the best things that I've begun, and it came from a conversation with my wife and I again, and someone had said to her, hey, don't worry, one day this will all be over. This too shall pass. And I said, that's cool, but I kind of hate it. I said, because as we'd been going and journeying through this, what I realized is there's a lot of opportunities here that are really unique. And I didn't want to let this pass and miss these opportunities. So now one of the perspectives that I want, the clients, the people that I want to work with, one of the things that I want to give them is this. It's the mantra, let's not waste it. Because right now we have incredible opportunities, and people say, what do you mean opportunities? Well, there's a couple of things to see an opportunity. First of all, you only see opportunities through a lens of gratitude. If you aren't grateful for things that are going on in and on around you, you will miss all the opportunities. Because gratitude sees possibilities, and opportunities and possibilities are the same things. When you are not grateful, when you have a scarcity mentality, all you're going to do is protect what you have. You can't gain anything more while you're protecting what you have. So it's going to require a lens of that.
Let's pause on that just for a second, because I love that idea. So, because let's just kind of case study you even for a moment on that.
Yeah.
So you go through this experience, literally all of your business has just been wiped out.
Yeah.
And so you're not kind of looking at all this as someone who's sort of like, yeah, no, there's opportunities, but things are generally traveling well for you. You're as someone who just watched everything get wiped away, work-wise, gone immediately.
Yeah.
And
I had contracts. Not only I had contracts where the payment was being processed, the processing was stopped and it was pulled.
Stop.
A huge contract from a big insurance company.
Just like that. Do you want to name them? No, just joking.
I actually love this company, we will work together again.
Yeah. But in that zone, so now you're going, okay, I want to be able to see opportunity here, where obviously there's different ways you can respond to that. You're going, I want to see opportunity. How has gratitude now been able to help you bridge that gap? Because someone might be looking, and I'm sure there's people listening who, work, income, one of those primary spheres that's been affected obviously is the economy, and the economy just represents people's lives. So what is that gratitude then? How are you able to allow gratitude to start to reshape your focus? Maybe just to give people a snapshot for their own.
Force gratitude, even sitting down and forcing yourself to be grateful for something as stupid as the fact that we're doing, if you're in Australia and you're watching this and you're going through this, I don't know there's a better place in the world. My wife is American, you're American, you have family back in America. Every time we talk to them, we get off the phone, we're like, our gratitude level is through the roof, just for the fact that if we're going to be broke, if you're going to be jobless, do it in Australia.
Yeah.
Best country in the world. There are better countries in the world economically, but they kind of like have snow. Like, so a lot of Norway's great to be jobless, but like it's really cold.
Nobody goes to Norway for these beaches.
Yeah, I don't want to be cold.
But yeah, it's so true. There's always something you can lean into and so, go, let's force that gratitude. Find something somewhere.
Rip it out of each other. Where my wife and I have sat there and we've gone, okay, we're not leaving the table until we're grateful. We find 5 things we're grateful for. And we just sit there.
I love that. So really, even in amongst, obviously, we none of it's to sugarcoat for it. There are genuine difficulties.
Oh, yeah.
But to force that gratitude is what can actually start to transform that experience.
Yeah.
Move you from...
Yeah. Well, essentially, words shape how the world occurs to us. Gratitude shapes how the world occurs to us.
Yeah.
And so there's been some people who've argued, but that's you're just being naive. I'm like, no, I'm not ignoring the pain. I'm not ignoring that this is hard. What I'm choosing is a perspective that is going to propel me towards who I want to become.
I love this idea. I think it really is just a great one to grab hold of. This forced gratitude transforms perspective. As you were saying there as well, language starts to shape, the whole way you're experiencing it, and I think that's something, that's the harder the challenge, and the more work that goes into the perspective someone chooses on it. I mean, that's one of those, I guess, gifts that can come out of it for people, If you can be grateful when you've lost everything at the moment, then you're better positioned in different fields. Yeah. Now to go back, because where this train of thought started as well was we're talking about that transition to how do we get to that place to see it as an opportunity. And you talked about gratitude as that first thing that's going to open it up. And then I think you had said, was there a second thing you were going to say off the back end of that? Or have I just taken us too far in a different direction?
No, there probably was.
I would have totally broken your train of thought, but... Well.
So it's the other thing that if you want it, so you can view this. One of the big things is you can view this experience as being forced on you, right?
Yeah.
The government is making us sit this far apart. The government is making people work from home. The government is forcing everyone to homeschool. We homeschool anyway because we're that far ahead of the curve.
You're just forward thinking by years.
It's been amazing. All these people come to my wife and they're like, so how do we do this? How do we do this? I'm like, start 2 years ago. But you can view all this as being forced upon it, or you can view this as I get to do this. Let's not waste it. Like, we get to figure out different ways to communicate. one of the things that our planet has responded in an extraordinary way as we've stopped flying and driving everywhere. Like in LA, the air hasn't been this clear since the 1800s.
I heard that. It's wild.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
So that's before the cars were invented. And all it took was a month.
Yeah.
So what are we learning from this? Let's not waste this opportunity about what we can learn about and adapt about how we operate as a society in the future. How do we relate to each other? How do we relate to the planet? How do we relate to money? How do we relate to financial systems? How do we relate to government systems?
You know what I love as well? Just about that phrase and the nuance in there. Let's not waste it, because it will be difficult no matter what. And I think that's kind of a helpful perspective and nuance. Like the challenge will be there regardless.
Yeah.
So, you know, like you said, because I think it can be easy. People go, oh, it's naive or just trying to, but like it's actually just going, no, the event is what the event will be.
Yes.
That cannot be changed. Like we will not change that reality.
Yeah.
However, we have that choice as to what will be its impact on our lives, and to be able to look and go, hey, how can I not waste this? Because it will bring about, as you said, it could potentially reshape the way we relate to the environment, lifestyle, what it means to work from home or to have what workplaces look like in the future. All these things. There is a lot. Some of the higher type performers you see in, whether it's people just really performing well in the workplace, in their family life, personal life. What are you seeing about how, people who've come into this maybe with a habit of high performance? How are you seeing those kind of high performers? What can we learn from them about how to respond?
The people who are doing well in this is they're not predicting, they're planning. See, when we predict stuff, we're attaching ourselves to an outcome. The outcome being, this is how things have to be. Essentially, like everything has to fall into place. So predicting can be how long this is going to last, what rules are going to be in place, and how long those rules are going to be in there. Who's going to get what grants from the government? All these things that we're trying to predict about how this is going to go. We're going to predict how the interest rates, we're going to predict all these kinds of things. People who try to predict that are going to find life really hard. What you can do is actually make some plans. And make some plans as in, like, the plans fall in line with an intent. And that's what it falls. So I was talking to a client who's a really high performer, like a really, really high performer. He was a professional, he was a Division I college athlete in the US. He's an American guy, one of my American clients. Now he is in one of the top law schools in America studying law, and he just won a couple of prizes for his performance as a law student. He's a really high performer. So part of one of our courses that he did was we talk about a guy called Nassim Taleb, because I love attributing people and say, hey, go investigate him more. He was one of the few people who actually was like, Nassim Taleb, what a weird sounding name. I'm going to check him out. So he goes and checks out Nassim Taleb. Nassim Taleb has written a whole bunch of stuff on black swan events, which is events that are chaotic, and about being anti-fragile. That's huge right now, right?
Yeah.
So we don't want to be resilient where we survive this. We want to be anti-fragile. Anti-fragile means that we actually grow bigger or stronger, or stronger because we got to go through this and we had the opportunity to go through it.
I love that. We talked about just how language shapes reality. And I think that word anti-fragile and that idea.
So much better.
It's a whole different way of looking at it. Like, there's something better than, we don't want to be fragile, or it's easier to pick that one out and go,
that's
okay,
definitely not
fragile is like,
we definitely don't want to be that.
We don't want to break. Resilient, that's really good. You survive and you go through it. But to go anti-fragile clicks your mind into a different zone that says, no, not only not break, not just get through, but actually grow stronger from it is a really fascinating concept. But so
because human beings, we are anti-fragile. Like that's what our immune system is. The stuff that doesn't break us, actually, it's stronger. Our muscles are anti-fragile. Bones, if you break them, grow back stronger. It's really hard to break a bone in the same spot twice because they grow back stronger. Everything about our bodies is anti-fragile, and I believe our brains can be too, if you put the work in. But it's like a gym. You actually have to put the work in, and you can't just wish it into being. But back to Ryan.
Ryan.
So Ryan says he goes and reads this stuff and he thinks that's really interesting. I want to make some plans for if stuff gets really tight financially. One of the things that'll happen if things get really tight financially is that the stock market will crash. I'm going to place a big financial bet on the Dow just getting hammered, and this was in January. Now he saw a tweet from Nassim Taleb, something about this coronavirus being a black swan event. And so he was kind of a little bit clued into that. But he thought, even if it's not, I'm going to put this bet down on the Dow crashing. And it's I don't know, it's shorting it or something.
Shorting it, I think so. Yeah, I'm not.
If my language is wrong, write and complain to Dean. Maths and finance is not
go
my
try
thing.
and short or long something based on this podcast.
Exactly. I give no advice. But he shorted the Dow. And this is in January when in the US the Dow was doing record growth, all kinds of stuff. And everyone told him he was crazy.
About that. Far out.
He's earned more than a year's income from that experience when it paid off.
Come February, March.
March.
March, yeah.
And I say this not, and he feels bad. He's like, man, all these people are losing it. So he doesn't want to brag about it. And so that's why I'm kind of reluctant to give out more information about who he is or whatever. But this is an example of a plan, not a prediction, where he wasn't predicting, this is going to happen in March. He was like, here's a plan that I have that it might work in times while I have money now. I can do this so that when things go south, that I can be okay. And I don't know how it's going to pay off, but it turned out it paid off really, really well. And
I love that idea of plan, not predict, because obviously, I mean, if you went even over the last call it 6 weeks, last 4 whatever time length you put on it, maybe since January, but people who've predicted have consistently, it's not gone to prediction.
No.
And even now, there's predictions, as you said, of all these different things and lengths of times or what will it look like. And we can all speculate. But there's something very empowering about just going, okay, what are plans I can put in place?
Yeah, because plans are based on what can I do? Mm-hmm. Predicting is what's going to happen out there. Planning is all intrinsic and internal. Predicting is based on external. And so when you do that focus that you just alluded to there is what can I do in this moment for me? Doesn't matter how long this goes on for. I don't have to predict it. I'm going to be awesome in the meantime. And I'm going to grow and I'm going to integrate stuff that I'm going to keep afterwards because I don't want to waste this opportunity. And it's an incredible experience freeing yourselves from that prediction cycle, because that prediction cycle is built upon this desire to be right. And when you're not right, your anxiety goes up a little higher.
You know what I love about that as well is, like you said, look, if you just make a plan. I've been reading something recently or heard a conversation, but the brain instantly, when there is some plan, any plan, your brain is automatically reducing its anxiety level.
Yes.
And even like I think it was reading about
the more intrinsic it is, the greater that effect.
Yeah, the greater it will go low.
Yeah.
And even I think the thing I was reading, it was around like emergency operators and what they do when they talk with people on the phone. And it's why they will give. It doesn't matter how simple the plan is.
Yeah.
It automatically helps. Like the plan is you're going to sit where you are. For the next X amount of time, and someone will come. Okay, I got to sit, and as soon as you're able to go, this is what I can do right now. You lower the anxiety
level lowers.
And if you apply that broader, then having just some plan. Okay, well, this is what we'll do. Then it's gonna, people are gonna be able to get out of, as you said, all the anxiety that goes with prediction. And maybe then you can start moving towards gratitude, start moving towards making plans and getting a sort of a virtuous cycle going.
That's a really good term, virtuous cycle.
I read that somewhere. I really like it. It is helpful to kind of, things that either have that kind of downward spiral is probably the more common we sometimes think of.
Or a virtuous cycle.
But a virtuous cycle, it's like it starts building on itself. And
momentum creator.
Yeah. Now, I love, and maybe we'll kind of finish here with, really at the core of what you're talking about there.
I'm still thinking about virtuous cycle. I like that.
Spend some time on that one. The heart, this kind of goes to the heart of personal leadership. And that's one of the things I love about Lead Different. It's, we think often about, how do we lead other people? But I love your focus on personal leadership. How are you leading yourself? And this is a unique moment to grow in personal leadership,
to test yourself
to test yourself. That's
Yeah.
right. Kind of to see, what's there, and what any kind of final, key thought. Somebody's looking to make the most of this.
Yeah.
Grow their own personal leadership through it. Anything you'd really focus them on.
One of our mantras at Lead Different is every experience that I'm having, I am creating. And so that's why the stuff that I used to find fascinating and extraordinary and amazing can become mundane, because I create it that way and I have the ability to swing between that. And so I want to be the kind of person who is incredibly grateful. And I tell my grandkids, hey, there was this time, 2020. I'm telling you, it was the year from hell. We lost David Stern, Kobe Bryant. I like basketball. We lost the basketball season, but not only that, the world went through this pandemic, and it was the first one for 100 years, and we got to go through it. And because we got to go through it, we got to shape our planet the way that you get to experience it. I'm telling you, what you have now is better than what we were building in 2019, but we changed course because of this. We did it as a collection of individuals who decided this is who we want to be because of this. And it wasn't about government overriding rules or laws. It was deciding about who we wanted to become in the midst of this. And that's what I want to see leaders develop from this. And that's why we do Lead Different. It's what every program that for the last 5 years we've been going on and banging the drum about self-leadership. Mm-hmm. Everything that we do is built around self-leadership. One of the things that I know is that if you lead yourself well, you'll become someone worth following. And so when I said before that all these people come here and gather around, it's because you and your team of people lead yourselves well, and you've become people who are worth following. And anyone can do that. And a lot of people think that it's going to be the strongest, the smartest, the biggest who survive this. It's the people who lead themselves well and are adaptable.
I love that picture. I love that vision. Imagining kind of the world as it can be. It will be. There's challenges, difficulties. Those will come no matter what. But the vision of what can be and creating that experience, I love that. Now, let me ask you this: if people do want to connect with you, thanks for the conversation, James. It's been brilliant just to chat through some of these things and look at it from so many different angles. Appreciate your time. If people do want to connect with you more, what you do at Lead Different, what's the best thing you'd recommend for them? Yeah,
so the best thing you can do is to go to, there's 2 websites you can go to. The first one is, it's kind of our corporate website, it's leaddifferent.org, but most corporates aren't doing anything right now. I don't know if you're aware of that, but most organizations have shut down. But the other website that we have is ignitegroups.org. We built this program. It's an 8-week program for an hour a week, and it was built originally to be meet in person. We don't do that anymore. We're doing it all online. And on there, that's our flagship program. This is the program where we put people who are in high school through it, and they're like, that's amazing. Then we put C-level executives at multinationals through it, and they're like, that was amazing. And both people experience it and have the same thing that come out of it, because it's about yourself and leading yourself and becoming a leader worth following. And so we're offering that. Look, there are prices on Ignite, on that ignitegroups.org to sign up. But it's wartime rules, Dean.
Yeah, that's great.
And so one of the things we're saying to people is, if you want to do this, and if you think it's going to play a role in your life over the next however we're doing this for, and it doesn't matter. But if you think it'll play a role in that, then reach out to me, James at leaddifferent.org.
Great. And
you're going to get that in, right?
We'll put the links in. We'll put the links in, and
we don't look. I don't do social media, so there's no social media stuff. I just mental health. It's just great not to be on social media. But one thing I want to encourage you: just reach out if you're interested at all in any of this stuff. There has been no better time. Because we're under wartime rules.
And no better time, to really focus on, okay, how am I going to lead myself? I'm going to, grow through this time. James, thanks so much, man. Thanks for the conversation and the wisdom, sharing it with us, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks for being in the same room as me. People.